welcome to the Lantern Lane Farm podcast. We have a really special guest with us today, a friend and a colleague of mine. His name is Brian Carden. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you. Glad
Brian,
to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for coming today. So tell us a little bit about you, Brian.
Well, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I went back to school starting, I think, 2016 or so. So this is a second career for me. Kind of, I guess the impetus for that was going through a divorce myself. Mm-hmm. Before that, I kind of thought, with somebody goes through a divorce, well, that kind of stinks. I'm sure they'll be fine, and then you go through one and you're like, oh, this is a little more than I thought it was.
Yeah.
So that kind of, and I've also been very passionate about helping people. Mm-hmm. So I think those two events, or those two factors kind of played into me wanting to go into this field and do something I was passionate about.
Yeah. Well, we are thrilled to have you at Lantern Lane Farm. You do excellent work. And an area that you really excel in, I believe, is working with people who have experienced trauma. So just wondering how over the years, how working with trauma has shaped the way you see people and their stories.
Yeah, I think one thing is it's removed almost all judgment in my life, which I kind of miss. I used to really like judging people. It was kind of fun to stereotype people. But I just, working with people for so long and seeing their story or hearing their stories and what's shaped them, it just, you never know what somebody's going through. You never know what the amount of effort on the exterior they're putting forth just to get through the day.
Yeah.
So I give people a lot more grace than I used to. I obviously still get irritated with people's behavior, especially on 840, driving slow in the left lane. But I think it's given me a lot more grace for people, because you just don't know where that behavior is coming from. A lot of times it wouldn't make sense if you heard their story.
Yeah. So all of us work with a lot of trauma at Lantern Lane Farm.
Sure.
I'm wondering for you, what, in hearing those heavy stories all the time, what keeps you passionate about your work?
It sounds strange, but sometimes when I work through some of this heavier stuff, especially using Brainspotting, and I see them with a breakthrough, I'm almost walking out of the office on cloud nine. Like I can't wait to tell somebody. Obviously, I don't tell the details of the client's story, but it's so exciting to see people who have been carrying something for so long and didn't know what to do with it, and then you're able to help them. And it's not really, the great thing about Brainspotting is it's not really anything I'm doing other than just putting them in the right place, and then their brain processes it itself. So it's just really, I'm not passionate about many things in life, but I will talk about Brainspotting just about all day.
Yeah, that's incredible, and we know that you're passionate about that.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, you train some of our therapists in Brainspotting, and so we're excited about that. Now, I've heard you mention that a couple of times, but what is it? What is Brainspotting?
Yeah, it's really weird. In fact, I got started with it. I did a training when I was in grad school several years ago, and I didn't really understand what it was. But I thought, well, maybe this will be a tool I can use. And so I went to the training. Training was it didn't go great. I didn't feel well. They have you practice on the other therapists, and I thought, I just don't know about this. And I'm a naturally cynical person to begin with. I'm I kind of have to see it to believe it. But the first session I had that I used it, I had a client who had witnessed his child go through some medical trauma, and just the thought of it would induce a mild to medium panic attack. And I used Brainspotting. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I thought I'll try it anyway. What's the harm? I would say it took 6, 7, 8 minutes of processing. It was completely gone. Like he didn't have any physical reaction to that memory whatsoever. And I was like, okay, I guess maybe this works. And then I kept using it, and it kept working. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm a believer.
Yeah.
So I try to incorporate it whenever I can, because it's so much faster than talk therapy.
Right.
I could have talked to that guy through that event for months, and I don't know how much it would have helped.
Yeah.
It probably would have been giving him more coping strategies.
Yeah.
But he basically deleted that from his brain in less than 10 minutes.
Yeah. So are we trying to get the memory to go completely away?
No, it doesn't go away. It's probably the wrong phrase for me to use. The effects of the memory.
Yeah.
I've had clients describe it as, it's like I'm watching a movie, but I'm not in it anymore. So yeah, you're removing basically the somatic physical reaction that you have to that memory. You can think of it and be like, maybe even feel like, okay, that was sad that happened. But your body does not have a reaction to it anymore.
Yeah. Well, why is it that just talking about trauma is often not enough? Well,
yeah, I think it's because it's stored in a different part of the brain. Mm-hmm. And when you're talking, you're using logic, reason. You're using your prefrontal cortex, the front of your brain. The part that plans, that thinks things through. That part of the brain does not communicate really with the part where trauma is stored in the midbrain. So if we're talking about, it's basically like us talking about something that happened in another room, and the door's closed and we can't get in that room.
Yeah.
By just talking about it. Now, there are methods people use for talking through it, but you basically have to get into the emotion of it, even if you're using talk therapy. But what I love about Brainspotting is they don't have to say a word. They can. A lot of times they do. They'll talk me through what they're going through. But I've had clients where have gone through severe trauma who didn't want to give me details. Fine with me.
Yeah.
I just want you to get it better,
Right.
And they'll process and they'll be like, yeah, I think I don't have any effects of that anymore, or the memory shifted. There's certain things I kind of look for of ways they describe it. And a lot of times they're similar from client to client, which tells me it's working. If these people who don't know each other are describing the change in a similar manner, that tells me it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm wondering if you could tell me what is it like. Let's say I'm in your office and you tap into some unresolved childhood trauma, something that I just really have not spent time with. and it's really having an impact on me. And as a therapist, you've discovered that that's having a really major impact on me. How do you go about describing to me this thing called brain spotting without causing me to like run out the door? Like,
Yeah.
oh, you're going to hypnotize me or something now.
Right.
Yeah.
First, I'll tell you that this is what we also use to recruit people to cults.
Oh, okay, there you go.
I'm just
there
kidding. No, first of all, I do admit that it is strange. It is a strange process. As far as, I guess if people are anxious about it, I start with, well, let's work on the anxiousness. Let's not jump into anything that you're afraid to delve into because you're not ready for it yet. So we can brain spot with the fear of talking about it or the fear of brain spotting about it. So I'll start with wherever they're at and I'll move at their pace. I'm not going to push anybody. Because if your system is not ready, we're wasting our time.
Right.
And as far as explaining how it works, you wear headphones, which provide bilateral sound. Basically, it stimulates the brain one side and then the other. Similar to people taking a walk to calm themselves down. That's bilateral stimulation, moving one foot and then the other. That's using the brain bilaterally. So we add that as a you don't have to use them. The first few months or so, I don't think I used headphones at all. But it does seem to add a level of processing. And a lot of times the sounds calm people down while they're processing. The idea behind it is trauma is accessed based on where we look. The eyes affect accessing trauma. So, if you can look around a room and notice, well, it's a little more relaxing to stare at this spot versus over here. Like I feel just a little bit different in my body or something feels a little different. That's basically the concept. When people are daydreaming, they're staring at a spot usually. So that's kind of the concept is we're accessing part of your brain based on where you're looking. And it's going to be a different spot for everybody. Yeah. And I don't know if we even know the answer why to that. It may have been where you were looking when it happened. I don't know. All I know is it usually works.
Yeah. So. Yes. Well, I was kind of like you when I went for the first training. I was very, very skeptical.
Yeah.
Very skeptical.
It's weird.
Yeah. But I became a believer very, very quickly when we practiced on each other. And then when I first used it with a couple clients and I saw what happened and the movement that they made, it was absolutely phenomenal. So before you even introduce the client to brain spotting, how do you help somebody understand what trauma is?
Simply put, I would probably try to describe trauma as something that has happened to you that's too much for your brain to process in the moment.
Yeah.
And it kind of stores it away in a capsule, basically. And I don't know if that's a protective measure for the brain or why. But it's almost like your brain goes, oh, this can't happen, or this can't be happening, So it's a shock to the system. We're talking about, larger things, like, someone spelling your name wrong on your Starbucks, latte is not trauma, it's frustrating maybe, but that's not trauma. I think the word sometimes gets overused today a little bit.
Yes, you're right.
But I would say it's something that that's too much for your brain to comprehend, and so it stores it in a different part of your brain. And then as humans, we don't like to feel pain, and the brain tries to protect ourselves. So why would we go back and revisit that?
Yeah.
That it makes sense that a lot of people just act like it didn't even happen.
Yeah.
It's a protective defense mechanism, which makes total sense.
Yeah.
So why would I go back and pull that back up when it was so painful? And we know that trauma is mainly stored in the body, and a lot of times below the like the midbrain, or even below that. It's kind of like the idea of, like, if you're walking on the sidewalk, a car's coming at you, you don't think logically, oh, I probably need to take 3 to 4 steps to the left to avoid this car. You're automatically, just on instinct, jump out of the way.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the part of the brain where trauma is stored, is that instinctual part. So that's why it's kind of harder to get to, is because it's subconscious. It's not something you're thinking about doing.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. And I was just thinking as you were talking, that word we use sometimes, denial. I think sometimes it's really a gift for children, especially when children are going through hard things.
For sure.
And they have no place to unpack this. They don't have a safe place to unpack it. I think it's a gift from God for them to be able to put it away until they get to a place where they are safe. And I know you've seen this happen too, but I've seen adults come in who have packed things away, and they'll say things like, Ralph, you're the first person that I've ever told this.
Yeah.
And this is something that happened when they were 6 years old or 5 years old or 4 or whatever, and they remember it, but now they're in their 30s. It's a gift, because I believe that God is saying, okay, now it's time. You're ready. You can handle this, and you're in a safe place. And the privilege of being that person to provide that safe place is.
Yeah, it is. It's really an honor.
Yeah, it is an honor.
I tell a lot of my clients, we develop these coping strategies and protective strategies that work as children and teenagers and maybe even young adults, and they work until they don't.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And then that's when we have to kind of unpack some things and learn some new ways of doing things. But it makes sense the way people get to where they are, and how they've learned how to protect themselves, for sure.
So you work with couples, and I'm just wondering if you could talk about how does this unresolved trauma impact relationships? We see that happen often.
Yeah, it's usually the reaction in the moment does not match. It's not matching the moment. Basically, the reaction is way bigger than what you would expect a normal reaction to be. So that tells me a lot of times it's not about what's happening right now. It's about something that's happened maybe even years ago, and your brain is tied them together, and it's trying to protect you somehow a lot of times. And so then the other partner is like, where is this coming from? What is this? I didn't do hardly anything, and the other, the person who overreacted may not even know.
Right.
Until you start trying to unpack some of those things. It can definitely hinder connection. Because if you're if you've experienced a lot of trauma, you're in a protective state. A lot of times they're in fight or flight if they've got PTSD type symptoms.
Right.
And that really affects your ability to connect with your partner, because your central nervous system is overactivated. And that's kind of what regulates you. And that's what allows you to feel connected to someone else. And if that's overactive and you're on hyper alert, your mind and body are going, we got to look out for danger. We don't have time to connect with our partner. It's basically what's going on. And they're not aware of it a lot of times. But yeah, I think that affects the relationships a good bit.
Yeah. So you do this work at Lantern Lane Farm. So how do you think the setting of Lantern Lane Farm may impact this work with people who have experienced trauma or not? What are your thoughts about that?
First of all, I love the setting out there. It's in the country.
Yes.
We got horses and animals. It's much more relaxing. It doesn't have kind of a clinical feel to it. Mm-hmm. You have the ability to, if somebody needs to step out and take a walk to process, like, say we've covered something really heavy and they need to, I can't sit here on this couch anymore.
Right.
Got it. Let's go for a walk. We got room to walk. We have outdoor stations where I've done deep trauma processing with people outdoors, just sitting in a chair in the yard during COVID.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a unique setting. I really like it. It's really peaceful out there.
Yeah. So for someone who may be listening and they're hearing about Brainspotting for the first time and they're curious, but they're also a little nervous, what do you want them to hear?
I want them to hear that it works for most people. I want them to hear that I get the nervousness. I think that's normal. I would say I would start working with the anxiety and the nervousness around the brain spotting first to settle that down. Then we can move forward into whatever issue there is. What was the second part of your question?
Well, what do you want them? What do you want them to hear? Just
I guess
maybe to help with the nervousness.
Yeah, I guess with the nervousness, I would just say we would move at your pace. I'm not gonna force you to do anything you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And none of our other therapists would either.
Yeah, it's their story.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You're in charge.
Yes.
We're just here to kind of walk alongside you. But I do passionately believe in it working, and the rate of success and the time it takes to get better with certain issues. Now, that's not, we can't heal everything with brain spotting. But with certain things, it's just so much faster. And save you a lot of time, money. It's just a really cool tool.
Well, I will say for myself, I've seen clients, the impact that it's made on them. I've used it periodically, not as much as you do, but also I've been a recipient of those services. Mm. And I've had a therapist work with me, and I can speak firsthand of the power. And I don't understand exactly what's going on, or I didn't understand what was going on when it was happening. I just know that I never sat with those situations like I did in that setting and let it just settle in and just be okay. You know? Yeah. So I've seen it work in my own life. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a client recently tell me like it settled down their brain fog. They felt much more clarity. They were able to think clearer. Because if you're carrying around all these traumatic events in your body, it's going to affect the way you think, way you feel. Yeah, it can really switch some things around for people.
Yeah. So what would it look like if somebody wanted to begin this kind of work at Lantern Lane Farm? What's the first step? What do they need to do?
I would guess they would probably need to go to our website, and you can call or you can email. We have multiple therapists that are trained in brain spotting. I think we're also doing some individual intensives.
Right.
If you wanted to knock out a whole bunch of stuff in a couple of days, we have that option.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So they can call the farm number,
Mm-hmm.
which is in the show notes, or they can go to the website and check out our therapists who do brain spotting, and just make that call. You know? Yeah. And that's a big, huge step for people. And
it's the hardest part a lot of times. Yeah.
It is. And what do you say in closing here? What do you say to that person who says, it's just a demonstration of weakness for me to reach out for help? What do you have to say to that person?
Well, I would say what one of my therapists told me one time when I had that thought. He said, weak people don't go to therapy.
Yeah.
I would, not to be critical, but I would say it's easier to stay stuck than it is to take a step forward and do something different.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth it.
It takes a lot of courage.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Brian, I can't tell you how much I am just grateful and thankful for you being at Lantern Lane Farm. I love what you do with people. I love your heart for people. And thank you so much for taking time out of your morning to come and sit and talk to me.
I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, very, very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.